Never Finished by David Goggins. Most personal development books focus on reaching a goal. Never Finished by David Goggins focuses on something fundamentally different: becoming the type of person who never believes the work is complete. Rather than treating success as a destination, Goggins argues that achievement is only evidence of what is currently possible, not a definition of personal limits. The central problem the book addresses is that many people unconsciously create ceilings for themselves. They overcome one obstacle, achieve one promotion, lose one amount of weight, or build one successful business, and then gradually allow comfort to replace growth. Success is not the finish line. One of the book's most significant ideas is that achievement can become its own obstacle. Success creates confidence, but it also creates comfort. Once individuals begin identifying themselves by previous accomplishments, they often become more interested in protecting their reputation than expanding their capabilities. Goggins argues that every accomplishment should be viewed as proof that greater capacity likely exists. The question shifts from asking whether a goal has been achieved to asking what new level of performance has become possible because of that achievement. This distinction matters because organizations and individuals frequently mistake stability for excellence. Businesses celebrate quarterly results without questioning whether innovation has slowed. Leaders become known for competence but stop challenging their own assumptions. Professionals become experts within their industries yet gradually reduce their willingness to learn unfamiliar skills. The conversation inside the mind. A recurring theme throughout the book is that the greatest competition is rarely external. Instead, it exists within the internal dialogue that constantly evaluates effort, discomfort, uncertainty, and risk. According to Goggins, the human mind naturally seeks efficiency and safety. It attempts to justify stopping early, lowering expectations, or accepting average performance whenever challenges become emotionally or physically uncomfortable. These internal negotiations rarely sound dramatic. Instead, they appear as seemingly reasonable explanations for postponement, reduced standards, or lower effort. The book argues that high performers become increasingly skilled at recognizing these internal negotiations before accepting them as truth. Ignoring this concept allows rationalization to replace accountability. Individuals begin believing the stories they tell themselves rather than objectively evaluating what remains possible. Developing mental calluses. One of Goggins' most recognizable concepts is the development of mental calluses. Just as repeated physical work strengthens the hands, repeated exposure to meaningful difficulty strengthens psychological resilience. Mental toughness is not presented as an inherited personality trait. Instead, it is described as a product of repeated exposure to situations that require persistence despite discomfort. Every intentionally difficult experience slightly expands the mind's understanding of what can be endured. This perspective reframes adversity. Difficult experiences become opportunities to increase future capability rather than unfortunate interruptions to comfort. Challenges no longer exist solely to be survived. They become part of the developmental process itself. For leaders, this principle emphasizes that resilience cannot be delegated. Every executive eventually encounters uncertainty, criticism, failure, or pressure. Preparation occurs long before those moments arrive through consistent exposure to manageable forms of discomfort. Becoming the driver instead of the passenger. Another major theme involves personal ownership. Throughout the book, responsibility extends beyond accepting blame for mistakes. It includes accepting complete responsibility for future growth regardless of past circumstances. Goggins acknowledges that people begin life under vastly different conditions. However, he argues that long-term development depends less on initial circumstances than on the willingness to continually reclaim control over future decisions. Within organizations, this mindset creates cultures where ownership replaces excuse-making. Employees become more solution-oriented because responsibility is viewed as empowering rather than punitive. Leaders spend less time assigning blame and more time improving systems, decisions, and execution. Without this perspective, Organizations frequently develop cultures where external explanations become the default response to underperformance. Progress slows because energy is consumed defending the past instead of improving the future. The importance of honest self-assessment. Throughout Never Finished, Goggins repeatedly emphasizes radical honesty. Sustainable improvement requires accurate self-assessment, even when that assessment challenges personal identity. The book suggests that many individuals unintentionally protect self-esteem by avoiding objective evaluation. Weaknesses remain hidden behind success in unrelated areas. Accomplishments become distractions from deficiencies that continue limiting future performance. Honest assessment is valuable because improvement begins only after reality is accurately understood. A leader who overestimates communication ability rarely improves communication. A business owner convinced that strategy is the problem may overlook weaknesses in execution. A professional satisfied with previous expertise may fail to recognize changing industry expectations. Business applications. Although Never Finished is often associated with physical endurance, its broader relevance lies within leadership and organizational performance. For entrepreneurs, the book reinforces that business growth depends heavily upon personal growth. Companies frequently expand only as quickly as their leaders expand their thinking, decision-making capacity, resilience, and willingness to embrace uncertainty. As businesses become larger, leadership challenges become increasingly psychological rather than technical. For executives, the emphasis on disciplined self-evaluation encourages stronger decision-making during periods of pressure. Difficult conversations, strategic pivots, organizational restructuring, succession planning, and innovation all require leaders who can tolerate discomfort without allowing emotion to dictate action. For organizational culture, the principle of continuous development discourages complacency after success. High-performing organizations recognize that yesterday's accomplishments establish credibility but do not guarantee tomorrow's relevance. Continuous improvement becomes part of organizational identity rather than an occasional initiative. Perhaps most importantly, the book encourages leaders to redefine resilience. Rather than simply recovering from adversity, resilient organizations intentionally develop capabilities before major challenges occur. Training, preparation, learning, experimentation, and calculated discomfort become strategic investments instead of unnecessary burdens. Actionable takeaways. The central lesson of Never Finished is that growth should become an identity rather than a temporary project. Achievement gains lasting value only when it becomes the foundation for future development instead of the justification for slowing down. The book also demonstrates that mental resilience is built through repeated exposure to meaningful difficulty. Consistently choosing challenging opportunities gradually expands confidence because capability grows alongside experience. Another enduring insight is that objective self-assessment remains essential throughout every stage of success. Honest evaluation prevents accomplishment from becoming complacency and allows continuous improvement to replace self-protection. Finally, the book reframes discipline as a long-term competitive advantage. Motivation fluctuates, circumstances change, and external conditions remain unpredictable. Consistent disciplined action provides stability when emotions and conditions inevitably shift. If this summary provided value and helped deepen your understanding of Never Finished, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and enabling notifications so you don't miss future leadership and personal development book summaries designed for busy professionals. Goggins, David. Never Finished. Unshackle Your Mind and Win the War Within. Lioncrest Publishing, 2022.